Ever get that feeling like you just got to tap your foot? Or like when you're thinking hard and twirling your hair?
Yeah, we all have those little things we do, right?
Exactly. So, today we're diving into something that can seem kind of like that. It's called stimming.
Uh-huh.
It's these repetitive movements or sounds, and we're going to look at it specifically in the context of autism.
Okay.
Really figure out what it is, why people do it, and if we should be worried about it at all.
Makes sense.
Our main source for this deep dive is this article called Is Stimming Harmful? From a website called Cheap ABA.
Okay, I've heard of them.
So whether you're just starting to learn about autism or you've been in the community for a while, I think you'll get something out of this.
Definitely.
Hopefully by the end, we'll all understand stimming a bit better and see it in a new light.
Sounds good.
So first things first, what exactly is stimming?
Right.
It's short for self-stimulation, and it's basically any repetitive movement or sound, like, rocking back and forth, flapping hands, fidgeting, humming, even repeating words or phrases over and over.
Gotcha.
There are tons of different ways it can show up. And you know what?
What?
You might even stim yourself sometimes without realizing it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, think about it. Tapping your foot when you're impatient or twirling your hair when you're zoning out.
Totally.
Those can be types of stimming, too.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because, especially for folks with autism, stimming isn't just random.
Okay, so there's a reason behind it.
Absolutely. It serves very important functions.
Yeah.
Like one of the big ones is sensory regulation.
Sensory regulation.
Yeah, so think about being in a super crowded, noisy room, like where every conversation, every little sound, every light just feels way too intense.
Okay, yeah, I can kind of picture that.
Well, for some people with autism, that's what everyday sensory input can feel like. Like their brains don't filter things out the same way.
Wow.
And so stimming helps them manage all that input. It's like
Yeah.
they're turning down the volume on the world.
So they're trying to get some control back when things feel overwhelming.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And research actually suggests this might be connected to how autistic brains process sensory information differently.
Interesting.
It's not just blocking things out, but more like actively seeking out or creating a sensory experience that feels more manageable.
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
And it's not just sensory stuff. Stimming can be a big stress reliever too. Like everyone has those things they do when they're anxious, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like biting your nails or pacing. Well, stimming can be like that for people with autism. It can help them cope with anxiety, handle tough emotions, and even just find some calm amidst, chaos.
Right.
And for some, it's even a way to communicate. Like
Okay.
if they struggle with words, a movement or a sound might be their way of expressing a need or a feeling, or even just getting someone's attention.
It's amazing how much is going on beneath the surface with something that might look so simple to someone else.
Definitely.
But I think the big question a lot of people have is this harmful?
That's a natural question, especially when you're first learning about stimming. And it's important to know that in most cases, it's actually beneficial. It helps folks cope and communicate and find comfort.
Okay, good to know. But the article we're looking at does mention sometimes when it might be a concern, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. It's like any behavior, sometimes it can become more of a challenge, and that's when it's important to pay close attention.
So how do we know when it crosses that line?
Yeah, so like when does it go from being this helpful coping mechanism to something that might need some extra support?
Right. What should we be looking out for?
Well, that's where things get a little tricky because it's not always clear-cut. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
I see.
But there are some signs that can indicate it might be becoming excessive.
Okay, like what?
Well, like if it's causing physical harm, like some people might pick at their skin or bang their head when they're really overwhelmed.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's definitely a red flag.
Right. Or if it's making it hard for them to have conversations or go to school or just do the things they need to do every day.
So it's really about looking at the context and the impact it's having on their life.
Exactly. And this is where understanding and acceptance are so crucial.
Yeah, instead of seeing it as something strange or something that needs to be stopped.
Right. We need to see it for what it often is, a way to cope, a way to communicate, a way to find comfort.
That makes so much sense.
So how can we better support people who stim?
Yeah, what can we actually do?
Well, first off, it starts with not judging.
Okay, so like not thinking it's weird or bad.
Exactly. Try to understand what purpose it serves for that person.
Right.
And another thing that can be super helpful is creating sensory-friendly environments.
Like what kinds of things?
Think like calming colors, soft lighting, not a lot of loud noises, anything that can help reduce that sensory overload.
So basically creating a space where they feel more comfortable and less overwhelmed. That
Exactly.
makes sense.
And if the stimming is causing a lot of challenges, there are therapists who can help teach different strategies for managing stress or anxiety or sensory input.
Oh, so there are other options if it's really impacting someone's life.
Yeah, like occupational therapists can help with sensory integration techniques, and cognitive behavioral therapy can be great for managing anxiety.
Interesting.
But it's super important to remember that everyone's different.
Yeah, of course.
What works for one person might not work for another, so it's all about respecting individual needs and preferences when it comes to stimming.
So it's about finding that balance between supporting the individual and addressing any challenges.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dance, but with empathy and understanding, we can create environments where people with autism feel safe and supported to stim in ways that work for them.
That's really well said, and I think it's worth pointing out that stimming isn't only something autistic people do.
Oh, absolutely not. We all engage in self-stimulation in some way.
Right, like tapping our feet, twirling our hair, doodling during a meeting.
Exactly. It's part of being human.
That's such an important reminder. It really highlights the whole spectrum of human behavior and how we all have our own ways of navigating the world.
For sure.
But I think what's been particularly eye-opening for me in this deep dive is understanding the unique function stimming serves for many people with autism.
Yeah, it really is a glimpse into their sensory experiences and their emotional world.
Totally.
It helps us connect with them on a deeper level.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Yeah, sounds good.
We started by asking, is stimming harmful? And we've learned that it's not a simple yes or no answer.
Right. There's so much more to it.
Stimming is often a natural, essential even
That
behavior for folks with autism.
is part of who they are.
It's about understanding, not judging.
Exactly.
It's about creating environments where people feel safe and accepted just as they are.
And it's about recognizing that everyone experiences the world differently, and that's okay.
Beautifully said.
And by understanding stimming, we can gain a deeper appreciation not only for the diversity of human experience, but also for the incredible ways our brains adapt and cope.
I love that.
It's fascinating, really.
So what does all this mean for you, the listener?
Good question.
Well, I hope it gives you a new sense of empathy and understanding for people with autism.
Definitely.
I hope it encourages you to see stimming not as something strange or disruptive, but as a form of communication, a way to cope, a reflection of their unique experience.
And if I could add one final thought,
Yours too.
I encourage you to take what we've learned today and apply it not just to your understanding autism, but also to your own life.
Oh, I like that.
After learning about stimming, do any of your own habits or behaviors suddenly make more sense?
That's a really interesting question.
Like, we all have those little quirks, right?
Yeah, for sure.
The ways we deal with stress, the ways we seek out certain sensory input.
Maybe some of those things we do without even thinking are actually our own forms of stimming.
It's definitely something to think about.
I love that.
By being more aware of ourselves and others, we can really deepen our understanding.
It's like we're all on this spectrum of human experience, and understanding stimming helps us see the beauty of that diversity.
Beautifully put. The more we learn, the more we see how interconnected we all are.
Well said. It really makes you think differently about what's considered normal, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah. Like all those little things we might have thought were weird or unusual.
Exactly.
Maybe they make a lot more sense now.
Yeah. And it reminds us that we all have our own ways of dealing with the world, you know?
Absolutely. Even if those ways seem a little different to us at first.
Exactly.
It's kind of like those deep sea creatures.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they look so strange and alien to us,
Right.
but they're perfectly adapted to their environment.
They have a reason for being that way.
Exactly. And it's the same with people.
We all have our own ways of surviving and thriving.
I love that analogy.
It's all about perspective, right?
Absolutely. And that's what these deep dives are all about.
Getting a new perspective
Expanding our understanding of the world and the people in it.
and hopefully becoming more empathetic and accepting along the way.
Couldn't said it better myself.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to wrap up this deep dive on stimming.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It really has. And a huge thank you to you, our listener, for joining us on this journey.
Yes, thank you for listening.
We hope you learned something new today and that you'll keep exploring the world with curiosity and an open mind.
Keep diving deep.
Until next time.